All right, so I have with me DC Tech Man. We're talking about social media and how technology has affected family and friends. And I wanted to mention to DC Tech Man, and we had talked about this before, but back in November, there was the midnight launch of the latest Halo game. Not me being a big fan of Halo, the books and the whole mythology about it. I thought about going to the local mall and waiting in line at midnight to catch the latest game. Now, I didn't have to get up the next morning, and of course, the kids had school the next morning, so my son couldn't be with me. But I thought about it, and then I thought to myself, no, I am not going to do it. But there was a thought, DC Tech Man, that kind of stuck in my head, even when I went the next day at a reasonable hour. I was thinking, is this what my life has come to, where I'm thinking about waiting in line to buy a piece of plastic? And I'm thinking, why would people want to do that? And the only answer I could think of is, at least some of us, and it's human nature, we want instant gratification. We like to do things that are fun. I'm not sure waiting in line is a lot of fun, but we like to do things that make us feel good. You wait in line, you get your favorite game or games, you go home and play, and you have fun. But, where's the line between what's normal and what's out of bounds? How do you see it?
Well, I guess you can apply that idea to a lot of things,
Yeah, yeah,
because of the fact that our society is shaped that way. Instant gratification is more or less, runs amok.
yeah,
I mean, how many people are in debt because of the whole instant gratification?
true.
You know, you see something, you have to have it. It's not a matter of why. It's just a matter when. How fast can I have it? So waiting in line is just a byproduct of something that it just ties all together. And if it's just a game today, it could be like I said, Black Friday is a perfect example of people, what they're willing to do
Right.
in order to get something that in the whole grand scheme of things, is it really going to affect your life that much?
Yeah,
Is it going to change your life, or is it just a matter of like you said, peer pressure or society, your kids, whatever? What's driving you to do this?
right. I mean, yeah, and I see, there's the stories of kids, spending too many hours on their Xbox or PlayStation and being hooked on it like a drug. And I'm pretty sure that's not normal, but technology is, part of our lives, and really it's up to us as parents, as a family, to say, you know what? That's enough. Now, I'm sure there are probably parents who are addicted to technology, probably even more so than kids. But really, it's up to the parents and the family as a whole to say, you know what, tonight, no games, no technology. And look, if it was summer, how about saying, let's go take a walk. Let's go to the park. Do something more with the stuff that we used to do before this stuff. I mean, my God, do we really need all this? I mean, I know it's here to stay, but and for the most part, it is fun. But you know what? I'll tell you something weird, and it's probably not just me. There are times where I need to make a quick trip down to the grocery store, bread, whatever, buy juice, and I forget my phone at home. Now, where I live and where I have to go, it's less than a mile. I could walk, but I'll drive. Partly, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot my phone. And it's weird because it almost feels like I forgot to put on one shoe. Now, is it just me? Or do you sometimes feel that way? Like you're naked without your cell phone, even if it's just for, say, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's basically now it's become part of you. This object is now, you don't, you if you go back 10 years, you didn't have a cell phone. How did we operate? How were we able to to get through our day without that piece of electronics in your pocket? There's a lot of people that still do, uh,
Right,
but they're becoming a minority, if you
right.
ask me. But
Yeah,
get back to also what you were talking about earlier about the whole, what your kids are doing,
Yeah.
in living around this electronic world and being almost addicted like a drug.
Yeah.
Us as parents, we are enablers,
Yes. Yes.
and they emulate a lot of the things that we do. So, if you want to put it in the realm of a drug,
Yeah.
yes, it is addicting, and we should, as parents, control what they are doing and how they're exposed to this. The problem is it's become something that a lot of parents use as a tool, as a babysitting tool, or as an entertainment tool, and they lose track of how long that child has been in front of the screen or has the headphones on listening to whatever, and they kind of lose track of all that. So it's
Yeah.
just from a very young age, a lot of kids are exposed to this electronic tube in front of them, or
Yeah.
in this particular case, a flat screen, and it becomes an entertainment piece that just
Right.
it little by little it just becomes part of their life.
Right. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's possible that as humans, some families maybe they become desensitized? Do some of us maybe lose our social skills, our human communication skills? Now, I'm not talking skills on a cell phone, but one-on-one with the family, pr- you know, private, personal moments. Do you think that the quality of those moments gets tossed out in
Oh,
favor?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like I said, it's you create this environment for a child who grows up believing that this is the norm,
Right.
and they're a far cry to what maybe you and I or our previous, like our parents' generation, grew up as.
Right.
And so that interaction has become less and less. And
Right.
we haven't even touched on social media yet, but what kind of ramifications that even has
Yeah.
the whole interaction, and how it becomes so impersonal now, where
Right. Right.
we live in a society where these kids don't even leave their room, they don't even
Right.
leave their house. So, you know
It's almost like Facebook and Twitter is in itself a drug.
uh-huh.
And, if you don't have it every day, you start, acting weird, right? I was actually on Facebook the other night, a couple nights ago, and it was around after 1 a.m. in the morning. But there friends I have down south that I haven't spoken to in over a year. Now, we got on it late, just texting back and forth, but we weren't on it very long. I would say maybe 10 to 15 minutes. But I didn't find that an issue for me because number one, I'm not always on Facebook, seldom, and I was communicating with close friends that I haven't spoken to or texted to in a while. And that to me felt normal because you know what? These are people I know. I haven't really spoken with them in a while, and it felt good to be in touch, if for a brief moment. So I didn't feel bad or feel like I was addicted. But it's like we say, what if, kids or parents are got to have that Facebook app turned on their cell phone 24-hour shift, and they got to look at every single tweet, Facebook message, everything that's out there. It's like information overload. And like you said, my God, 10, 15 years ago, what did we do? And now the question is, before this explosion of technology, were our lives, the quality of our lives, better back then? I mean, I don't know. Um, when I lived in Florida, I did more stuff outside. Of course, here in the cold climate, you really can't go out, and play per se in 0 degree.
Well, plus society has changed too. It's
Yeah,
it's not the same neighborhoods that are we grew up in or our parents grew up in. You have so much more to worry about with your kids that you almost feel more comfortable actually having them at home. At least you know where they're at all times, because heaven forbid they leave the neighborhood. You don't know what the heck could happen to them anymore. So
right.
that's another problem that our society it has to put up with, and it creates you know, an issue where these kids cannot disappear for 5 or 6 hours or 9 hours
Right.
at a time
Right.
like I did when I was growing up. I'd leave
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. My mom said, "Be home for dinner." I
Right.
never saw her for anything.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
disappeared all day,
Right.
and it was cool. It was fine. And everybody knew pretty much where I was at, and if I had a problem, it somehow got resolved. But
Right.
an issue.
Right.
But now it's a different world that we live in. So
Well, it seemed back then we relied more on our mental skills versus our technical skills. And maybe in the development of a kid and a child, maybe some of that mentality, skill set is lost in favor of a technical, skill set. So how do we balance those two?
well,
Uh,
I believe a kid today is probably 2 or 3 or 4 fold smarter than a kid was probably back in the 70s.
yeah,
What a kid had back in the 70s that a kid doesn't have today is street smarts.
right,
Okay.
right, yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah,
and being able to interact and being able to read people, and that interaction is not there. And I
yeah,
and, and I don't know if later in life, once you go to college or beyond college, is that something you can actually obtain, without having that foundation that you would have had growing up.
yeah. Let me ask you this, and then we'll wrap this up here. Do you know when you've had enough? Do you know when you've been on your tablet too long? Do you know when you've been on your gaming system too long? Do you know when you've been on your cell phone too long? Put it down when it's time and say, you know what, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to go for a walk. If the weather's nice, to go for a drive, spend time with the family. Do you know? And if you do know when you've had enough, can you do it? Can you put it down?
Yeah, I've never had an issue where I'm playing a video game and I just got so lost in it that you know hours have gone by. The day has completely disappeared.
Yeah.
I have never had that problem where I
Okay.
cannot completely
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
myself away from something. No, I've never, but I know there are people there is people who do that.
Well, speaking for myself and for my son, if it's winter time like it is now and you really can't go outside and do something, spending a couple hours, on a game or on the TV is not really that bad because look, if you go out to the movies and go shopping, you're going to blow 2, 3, 4 hours anyway. So I don't think there's an issue with that. The problem is when you do it day after day after day, and then you lose your social human skills, not your social media skills. But it seems like a lot of people are choosing the social media skills over the social human skills, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, and I think you're right. That's probably
Yeah,
might be the shift that this whole society with social media, and more people that become able and willing to go online. Um, we were talking about this the other day, that how the internet has entrenched itself into every home in America.
right.
More or less. It's almost to the point where the internet could almost be viewed as a utility.
Wow. Yeah.
Just almost start
Yeah.
wondering whether or not we should start treating it as such, and maybe start
Yes.
getting the same type of perks and competition like you would
Yeah.
with the gas and electric and the rest of the things that are coming into your house. So
Right.
it's become that part and that entrenched into our lives now. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, at what point do they actually start considering it, as a utility?
Certainly lots to think about, but yeah, I think technology, computers, cell phone, tablets, they are tools. And just like any tool, how are you going to use that tool or tools to enhance your life versus controlling your life? Well, DC Tech Man, thank you so much for sharing some of your time for this parents podcast and social media and technology. Thank you so much, and I would like to invite you, of course, for any future podcasts that we have scheduled. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Thanks for the opportunity to participate.
All right, sir. I will catch you later. Thank you.